actually need to think in order to understand whether you need to offset something with commas on both sides or not. Here, the relative conjunction who work hard, it's kind of like narrowing the pool of the students. But if you're using your relative clause in order to narrow. Hello, my chickens. In this video, I want to talk to you about those relative clauses that begin with the word who and whether you should offset them with commas on both sides or not. My name is Sieverson. I'm the inventor of the Sieverson method. It's a scientifically proven way to learn anything fast, especially when it comes to relative clauses and all sorts of grammar topics. Before we begin, I want to remind you that I run a fabulous, wonderful, amazing membership website. It's called SAT Verbal, where I teach 2 to 3 times a week live on Zoom. We get to explore all sorts of chapters by Erica Meltzer, Nelson Fu. We kind of do study holes. We explore different topics together. And you also get to ask me an unlimited number of questions through the section called Ask Katya. You can send me a screenshot and say, hey, Katya, why is the answer D and not A for this specific question? I'll respond to you with either a video or an audio explainer within 48 hours or less. This is a phenomenal way to feel supported, feel like you're not alone and not confused in this process of SAT prep. So let's talk about the relative conjunction who. It's a unique relative conjunction. It begins a relative clause, but it can start a non-essential clause that needs to be offset with commas on both sides, and also start an essential clause that does not need to be offset with commas on both sides. And in fact, offsetting an essential clause with commas on both sides will be a big no-no on the SAT. So how do we know whether we should offset it or not? Well, if you're looking for a kind of like a quick tip, well, I'm not your girl. Here, you actually need to think in order to understand whether you need to offset something with commas on both sides or not. Let's take a look at these 2 examples. Students who work hard deserve good grades. What do you think? Should we offset this relative clause, who work hard, with commas on both sides? Yes or no? If we were to offset this with commas on both sides, it will literally mean that this commentary, who work hard, applies to all of the students. Is it really true that all students deserve good grades? Remember, when you offset something with a comma sandwich, that means you can remove it from the sentence and the sentence will still maintain the exact same meaning as it was meant originally. Here, the relative conjunction who work hard, it's kind of like narrowing the pool of the students. Not all students deserve good grades. Students who work hard deserve good grades. Not all of the students. So offsetting this with commas or dashes on both sides would be a mistake. However, take a look at this sentence. Graduate med students who work hard struggle with work-life balance. Graduate med students struggle with work-life balance. It is already implied that graduate med students, if you are graduating, and if you're a med student, it is already implied that all of them work hard. Therefore, all of them struggle with work-life balance. So here, offsetting it with both sides, with commas on both sides, would mean that it's non-essential. So here's how I want you to think of your relative conjunction who. It doesn't work by itself. It usually starts a relative clause like a descriptor, like who work hard. And that relative clause will usually be clarifying some kind of a noun in front of it. Let's say it's a person or maybe a group of people. Then in order to decide whether to put commas or whether to leave it alone, you need to ask yourself, does it apply to all? Does this descriptor, who work hard, does it apply to all? And if it does, then feel free to put commas around it. But if you're using your relative clause in order to narrow the scope, so let's say people who work hard deserve good pay, Are you using it to narrow the scope, or does this description apply to all who work hard? You are narrowing the scope of people. People who work hard deserve good pay. In this situation, clarifying that people who work hard is your subject and not just people in general, you are not going to put any commas at all. So let's take a look at these two sentences about ballerinas. Ballerinas who take contemporary dance classes achieve great success, and ballerinas who have to wear uncomfortable shoes often get blisters and calluses. I want you to take a hot second and decide whether both relative clauses need to be offset with commas, or none of them need to be offset with commas, or maybe only one of them needs to be offset with commas. Remember the rule. If it applies to all, you're going to offset it with commas on both sides. If it's used to narrow the pool of ballerinas, you're going to leave it intact and not offset it with commas or dashes on both sides. So what did you guys think? Ballerinas who take contemporary dance classes, this is narrowing the pool of your ballerinas. Only ballerinas who take contemporary dance classes achieve great success. What about ballerinas often get blisters and calluses? Do all ballerinas wear uncomfortable shoes? Well, we can call the shoes for ballerinas quite uncomfortable, and I'm confident that all of them have to wear it. So here, this modification applies to all ballerinas. So that has to be offset with commas on both sides, and this becomes a non-essential clause. I hope this video really helped you guys decide whether some relative clauses that begin with who are essential or non-essential. As always, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment. Every month, I will be giving a free membership for a month to one of you who leave a comment. I will post the winner on my Instagram, Sieverson Method. I'll see you in the next video.